So you want to know how child support is calculated? Okay, in today's video, I'm going to provide general information about child support. What it is, how long does it last, how is it calculated, how much is it going to be, and what happens if you don't pay. My name is Mehdi Charkawi. I'm a civil litigation attorney in Houston, Texas. My channel provides general litigation information to the public. If you like this kind of content, I ask you to subscribe, hit the like button, and let's get on with today's video. Before we get started, remember, I am not your attorney and this is not legal advice. If you have a case that requires legal attention, I highly urge you to seek counsel in your local city or state. So what is child support? Child support is the non-custodial parent's obligation to provide for his or her minor children. In today's video, I'm going to use the example of mom has custody of the children. In other words, the children live with mom, dad has visitation rights, and dad pays child support to mom for the benefit of the children. Child support typically covers necessities such as shelter, food, education, healthcare, transportation, etc. How long is child support paid for? Child support is typically paid for the first 18 years of the child's life. There are instances where child support is paid beyond the 18 years or stops before the expiration of the first 18 years. An example of when child support ends before the first 18 years is obviously if the child dies or if the child is emancipated by either court order or by marriage. An example of where dad will have to pay child support beyond the first 18 years is in the event that the child has a disability, whether it be a physical or mental disability. Dad will have to pay child support until the disability is removed at whatever age, could be the age of 20, 30, or beyond. Or if the disability is permanent, then the father will have to pay child support for the life of the disabled child. So how much is child support? Well, before we answer that question, we have to find out how child support is calculated. Courts typically look at the father's yearly gross monthly income. And then from there, the court deducts taxes, including Social Security, federal income tax, or in some instances, state income tax, and then reaches a yearly net income. That amount is divided by 12, and that gives us the amount of income that is net that the father makes on a monthly basis. And that amount is going to be the basis upon which child support is calculated. In the event that dad is working for a company and has a salary or works by the hour, it makes things easier because the court can look at a most recent paycheck stub or can look at the W-2 for the previous year. And then from there, of course, take out all the taxes and then come to the amount that the father makes net per month, and that is going to be the basis upon which child support is calculated. If dad is self-employed, it gets a little bit more complicated because the court will have to look at dad's tax returns for the year, and then from there reach the amount that dad makes net on a monthly basis. In the event that the amount that dad reports to the IRS does not reflect the true monthly income of dad, and that sometimes happens, then the court may look at bank statements where it would add up the previous 12-month deposits of dad and then deduct the applicable taxes, Social Security taxes, federal income tax, and state income tax, and then reach a monthly income upon which child support is going to be calculated. What happens if dad is unemployed? Well, if dad is unemployed, then the court would look at a reason or the reasons for his unemployment. If dad has legitimate reasons for unemployment, for example, he can show the court that he is actively seeking employment, he just can't find it, the economic situation of the local city or state are not favorable to finding employment very quickly, then the court is likely to assign dad an income that is based on minimum wage. He will still have to pay child support, it's just that going to be based on minimum wage. If the court finds that dad is unemployed on purpose, in other words, some individuals decide that they're going to quit their job so that they don't pay child support, well, that's a very bad idea because the court can look at dad's previous employment, his experience, his skill level, his education, and also his previous income. And it could be from a year or 2 or 3 back to decide what dad is likely able to earn if he were to become employed. And from those elements, from those factors, the court can impute an income that is going to be the basis upon which the court is going to calculate child support. Now, child support is calculated based on standard guidelines. Each state has its own guidelines. In the state of Texas, child support is calculated as such. You take the father's net income on a monthly basis, net monthly income, and for the first child is going to be 20% of that income. For the second child is going to be 25% of that income. It goes up by 5% for each additional child. The maximum percentage that can be taken out of a father's income for child support, irrespective of how many children he or she he has, is going to be 40%. So for example, if dad makes $1,000 a month net, then the most child support he'll pay, irrespective of how many children he has, is going to be $400 a month. It's important to know that in some states there is such a thing as a child support cap. So what does that mean? For example, in the state of Texas, the most income that the court will consider to calculate child support is going to be the first $9,200 of dad's income. So, for example, if dad makes net monthly income of $20,000 per month, then the most income that's going to be used to calculate child support is the first $9,200. That is considered a cap on income. Some people think it's not fair. Regardless of what your opinion on the matter, that is the law in the state of Texas. So if it doesn't matter what dad is making, could be making $100,000 per month, the most that the court will look at to calculate child support is $9,200. There are instances where this cap can be pierced. That in the event that the children during the marriage were accustomed to a high standard of living. For example, they were used to taking vacations twice a year. They're enrolled in a very expensive private school. There's an instance where the child could have a disability that requires very expensive health care on a monthly basis. The court can look at all these factors to determine whether it's going to deviate from the child support's guidelines of the state. So if mom can make a case that the expenses of the children during the marriage far exceed what the maximum child support is going to be under the guidelines, then the court is likely to award a higher amount of child support if dad has a significantly higher income than average. Now, what happens if you don't pay? Well, I never recommend or suggest to anyone not to pay child support, because if you don't pay child support, you can subject yourself to civil and criminal penalties. If you don't pay child support, mom can petition the judge to compel you, to force you to pay child support. And that is basically through a motion that is done through a motion of enforcement. In the event that child support is so severely in arrears, the judge can order the father to appear in court and explain why is it that dad cannot make this payment. If the reasons are legitimate and reasonable, then the judge may show some sympathy and has a discretion to perhaps extend the amount of time that the father has to pay child support. If the reasons are not legitimate, well, then the father can be put into custody until child support is caught up. And that's not a good situation for anyone. Another way child support can be enforced is through the Office of the Attorney General. Keep in mind that when dad pays child support, he pays it to the Office of the Attorney General, that in turn deposits it in the bank account of mom. If the Attorney General finds out that dad is not paying child support, they can on their own bring a case against dad in child support court, where dad will have to come and explain again why is it that he's not paying child support. And in some instances, warrants for the father's arrest can be issued in order to bring him in front of the judge and find out why this person is not paying child support. If you need an attorney to handle your child support situation, I urge you to watch my previous video explaining how to choose an attorney. If you like today's content, I ask you to subscribe again, hit the like button, and I'll see you on the next video.